little talk will be guided by some words of wisdom shared with me by Nodge Mama. Nodge Mama, forgive me. The very first time we met. We met in this home, in the living room, while I was still dating Judy. And as we left, as we were going to the car, and Judy said her goodbyes, and I was about to leave, and Mama pulls me to the side, and she tells me the following: Sei geschickt und mach das sehr schnell. Heint werde ich das euch machen, sehr schnell. Die Werte werden dann sehr kurz. The one thing that struck me as very, very strange the first time I came to London was the English method of dating. The English date differently than do the Americans.
One at a time.
Very good. I know in America, and Judy can testify to this, when we go out on a date, you pick up, you date, and you go to a lounge, a hotel room, a show perhaps, restaurant. And I came to London after dating Judy several times, and I had bought the tour books, you know, gotta know where to go, and Judy said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. And I said, where are we going? She said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. So I was very impressed, you know, the girl is going to give me the itinerary. And we're in the car, and she was driving, because I don't drive from that side of the car. And I asked Judy, where are we going, Judy? Me voert toch schon, me gaat toch schon, wie gaat men? And she tells me, we're going to Southgate. Now, I must confess, I read my tour books quickly, so the name Southgate didn't have much meaning then, but I went in the car, I'm looking in the tour book for Southgate. After you go through Big Ben and Madame Tussauds, I figured Southgate is in the back of perhaps a lesser-known tourist attraction. Wie gaat men? Don't worry, you'll be very surprised. I was impressed. I figured this is an out-of-the-way resort where the English aristocracy perhaps go on their holiday. And we pull up into what seemed to be a private house, and I go, are we stopping off here for a moment? She says, don't worry. This is my date. I figured, fine. She knocks on the door swings open, there's Nikki flying out, and then Gavin, and then Aggie, and then George. Judy, both of them were there. And I walk in, and I looked at Judy, and I remember those they were very deep words as far as I was concerned. They were 4 words that reverberate in my mind today, and they were, you must be kidding. A probe. She was taking me, instead of to a park, a lounge, a show, a performance, here I was at the Inquisition. And I'm sitting in their living room, as you well remember.
Doing it again.
My magnetic touch here. I'm sitting in the living room, and the truth is, while I thought that this was all a trial for me, I realized just a little bit later that it was never intended to be a trial. In fact, all Judy wanted to do was to show off. Mention was made of the antecedent to this tent, that in fact our forefathers had a tent that inspired the Jewish people down the ages. Avram Avinu and Sari Menu had a tent, it is well known. And Chazal tell us what was on this coin. It says, Matbeya shel Avram Avinu, the coin of Avram Avinu was Zokanus Kena Bitzad Zeh, an elderly man and an elderly woman on one side of the coin, and Bocho Upsula Bitzad Zeh, and a young man and a young woman on the. I was sold. It's just between me and you. I was sold in New York, and there were so many things about Judy that struck me as being very impressive that you don't find, frankly, at least I didn't find, in America. In the type of Warmkeit, the refinement, the independence. A girl who had her 2 feet firmly planted in the ground, but her mind was soaring in the heights. This combination I had never seen before. And I wondered, from wie kommt das? And I wondered, and you wonder, but she's one of a kind. I was wrong. She isn't one of a kind. When I came here to visit that day, I was in to Nudmama. I couldn't help but think, when meeting Nudmama for the first time, that the very things about Judy that impressed me then as well. The fact that she was as independent as she was. The fact that she stood on her own 2 feet and was so confident. I looked at Nudmama and I saw Judy. On a more lighter note, though, I didn't realize the influence Nudmama had on Judy until we were the time thereafter in New York when we dated and we went, we went to a restaurant. And it wasn't a very fancy French restaurant, it was good old home cooking in Flatbush at Weiss's restaurant, for those to whom this may have some meaning. And Kelek Kapusta or something. And there was exchanges of mitmuntal and servus and nodyo, and this is what I was saying, and I was floored. I mean, the waiter was sitting on the chair because I was on the floor. And you, sir, what would you give for? My father used to tell me he was a little bit disappointed when I was growing up. We can now have a very large extended family, and I believe almost every member of the family speaks Hungarian, with one exception, and you are looking at him. My father used to say, "Die bist nicht genug intelligent," said it in Ungarisch. If nothing else, Judy fills that void. My father was so happy with Judy. I remember when she came to my house, this is true, upstairs, the very first time we're sitting, my father, my mother, myself, and Judy, and they were carrying on in Hungarian. I was a stranger in my own home. That's right, and she promised to teach me certain words. But there's that other coin we had I mentioned earlier, the Mashos Pshat. That true, you can look at a coin and you see on one side, you see the children, you flip it over, and you know where the children come from, you flip it over and you see who is on the back of the coin, and there's a Nudmama. There's a Skena, the matriarch of the family. Well, that's on the simple version. But the other version of that coin has Avraham and Yitzchak, Avraham and Sarah and Avraham and Sarah. And maybe the two versions can be combined. Do you know how Avraham and Sarah in their older years retained their vitality? How do they have the same freshness they had when they were but young people? It's because of the coin of their children. It was through their children that they had this freshness, that they had this zest for life. The warmth of this home. I don't have to tell those of you who have been here times before. But for those of you who are new here and just see it today, I must tell you the warm, the ken zich de onwarmen in this home. It's a pleasure, it's a joy. And I'm very proud to be part of the family that has Aggie, and has George, and has Nikki, and has Gavin. I was very touched by those very, very warm, sweet words. Thank you very, very much for making number 4, the 4th Sheva Brochos, even more special, if you can imagine, than the 3rd, and the 2nd, and the 1st, and in the tent outside. Thank you all very much. And thank you, not Mama. Chocolate.
Where was Sheva Brochos yesterday? Cool. Where was Sheva Brochos yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Oh?
Number 1 in Nodjumez.